Everybody, welcome back to Band of Badgers. I was going to say this is.
Hey!
I did that completely wrong again. I was going to say welcome back to Band of Badgers. This is Band of Badgers, which, as always, does not make any sense at all. But we are here for some.
Intro.
I know you think after all these years we'll get there, but actually after all these years, all we've done is fluff every single one of them.
It's basically a thing now. If we were to get it right, it would be wrong.
Yeah.
I know. At some point, I just need a post-it on here. It would be a lot easier. Which I don't
So
do.
if somebody could invent some sort of sticky piece of paper you could put in front of you,
I know.
how handy that
Dave.
would be.
Yeah. They'd make millions.
we could. What could we call it? Ooh,
The stick it.
Something. It.
Stick it.
Stick it. Stick it.
Stick that.
What color could it be?
Well, the yellow
Brown.
stands out.
Yeah,
You
neon
can have
yellow.
multiple colours. You can have neon yellow, neon pink, green, orange, or blue.
I mean,
you
it's
can have a
like-
variety.
Ooh.
It's like having pens, but with paper in that color.
What?
It's like strange. Amazing.
this
We should do
witchcraft?
that. We'll do it as a Kickstarter. I'm sure we will. Anyway, enough jibber jabber. This is Band of Badgers, and this is our Beadle and Grimm's Candela Obscura playtest. Now, this is not live. This is recording. We aren't just doing it for fun. We are doing it for our friends over at Beadle Grimm's. And this is playtest. This is all playtest material. What you're going to see, what you're going to hear, especially this lot. None of them are real. They are all playtest characters, individuals. They're wearing makeup. They're wearing fake beards. The hair is wrong. They are figments of your imagination. These are not the real people. So we just want to make that clear.
They're having an existential crisis.
Yeah.
Especially Joe, because Joe is definitely.
I was
not
going to
real.
order a wig, but I didn't have time.
Now, what we're going to be doing, we are playing, of course, the Locked Library. This is assignment. What number did I give it? 615. I think.
Assignment number 615.
Oh, there we go. 615. And we're just going to run into this. So, if you're as you're watching it, I'll say as you're watching this on YouTube, thank you very much for that. By the way, don't forget like and subscribe. Take it with a pinch of salt because it is playtest material. Some of this may change. So character names of NPCs or locations or names that I might say. It may be because I got it completely wrong.
Very
It's
wrong,
probably very likely.
But
Or
you don't.
they changed it after the playtest. Because they went, look, if Dave can't say it, no one's going to be able to do this thing. So that's where we are. So, are we ready? Ooh, here we go.
Yes,
Getting
yes,
excited
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes.
now. And it's super hot. So what a
Warm.
fantastic time to be locked in a library in this heat. Because it's finally hot here in the UK. Finally sunny. Right, I'm gonna start with the hook. We have no fancy VT because it's playtest material. So, bear with me. Bang, bang, bang. A man slams his right hand against an ornate oak door over and over. He's middle-aged in an immaculate butler's uniform, and his brow is wet with sweat. Bang, bang, bang. Another younger man in a similar uniform comes running down the hall. Rudolph, what's happening? Where's Mr. Arbuthnot? The butler stops knocking for a moment. He listens. Nothing. Shakes his head. Stand back. He rears back, kicks the door. He's a big, powerful man. Rudolph breaks it off his hinges in 2 tries. Both men rush into the room immediately, looking around. It appears to be some kind of library, and on the floor, in its center, lies the body of an elderly man, lying on his chest. The younger man cries out as the butler kneels before it. What happened, Mr. Arbuthnot? Is it a heart attack? The butler turns the dead man over. He tries to respond. It's not a heart attack. But the words die in his mouth. The elderly victim's face is frozen in horror, completely devoid of color. His hair, his skin, his pupils, even his clothes, even a section of the floor under his body are as white as a clean sheet of paper. Now that's the hook. So now we're going to skip forward to our investigator's arrival. And again, bear with me. I'm working out all what the pages are. Okay. You all stand together, and you have been called, your circle has been called to investigate a crime scene. You are at a place which is a gated community in which a murder in this neighborhood is pretty kind of scandalous. So they want you to keep it under wraps. What you see before you is a constable, or at least dressed as a constable. They introduce themselves as Officer Perga. What would you like to know?
I'll step up to the constable. Hello, sir. What have we got here? What's going on? Many bodies been in the scene yet?
Only the officers. We phoned you as soon as we could.
How many have seen the body?
It'll be 3 officers. It'll be the lieutenant, myself. I'm Officer Perga. Lieutenant, let's find a name, Bazard. And officer, which is the other name. There's a lot of names.
All of you
Officer
wearing regiment footwear, I take it?
Officer Riggins.
Riggins. No one else has been in there, no?
Apart from the staff. That's it. We believe it's the butler and the footman.
So, who is the victim?
The victim is the owner of the household. It is a gentleman by the name of William Lance Arbuthnot.
What Billy, the doctor, is doing is he wants to read the body language of the constable just to see whether or not he truly believes the butler and the footman have done it, or if he's just going along with it.
The butler's not there. All you've got is the officer.
Yeah, I want to read because he said about we think it's them.
Okay.
Let's see if I can get a read on. I do not with 2 3s and a failure.
No,
I don't really like the police.
So what do we know about this William Lance Arbuthnot? Is he well to do in society circles? Seems like he's got a lot of money living here. Is he somebody famous?
You would have all known the name because I think he runs a particular type of business. But if you want to do a check, you can all do a check as well. So you'll know a certain amount of information.
Right. So it's a focus check.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
I got a 3.
I got a 2.
I got a 5, so a mixed success, but not.
Yeah, I also got a 5.
I got 4. Or 2 4s.
So 2 failures and 3 mixed successes.
Okay, so I always say that the bits and pieces of information that you know about Arbuthnot's organization it is called the Scarlet Trust. It is. It is rumored to be an organization that is running a drug called Scarlet.
So when I was talking to Officer Perga, asking them if who William Arbuthnot was, now that the others have remembered this, I'll continue.
Yep.
So, Mr. Arbuthnot, was he well known to you? Was he someone you'd be keeping an eye on? Any active surveillance going on at all? Is there been
Oh, so
marking
you're
who's been
asking
coming and going?
you're asking the officer,
Asking the
not
officer,
your
yeah,
companions.
yeah. No, I'm asking the officer.
This particular area has a lot of high-profile clientele, and they pay for particular things to be silenced, but also secure.
So what you're telling me is, if you've got enough money, the police force can be turned into private security guards, turning a blind eye to the comings and goings, and just protecting what's theirs. Is that right, officer?
Quite the convenient arrangement.
It's nothing new, though, is it, Josiah? So that's always been, mate.
Yeah, all right, lads. Put your batons away for a second, shall we? Officer, can I just ask, what state was the body found in, and is it still there?
And who found the body?
Exactly.
The butler, Rudolph, found the body. And yes, the body is still there. He has not been moved.
Was he holding a candlestick at the time?
I
While they're
don't
talking
believe so.
to the officer, I want to sort of surreptitiously, not obviously walk off, but go off to and start walking around, and I want to do a survey check.
So you can't get past the gate because the gate is still closed.
Oh, it's still closed at the gate.
So the officer is on one side of the gate. You are still on the outside of the gate.
Okay.
A gated community.
Do you know if anyone's touched the body at all, or it's been moved? Is it still where it was found?
As I just explained, the butler found the body, but we have not moved the body.
Very well.
And where might we find the butler and the footman now?
I believe they're still in the house.
All right. Can we come in then? Have a little poke around?
Yes, I will escort you all up to the house.
Very difficult to do a job from this side of the gate.
Especially seeing as they called us to do their job for them.
Yeah.
I will open the gate. And she nods over to the... You see there's a little gatehouse. She kind of nods, flashes the badge. And the large silvery gates in front of you glide open noiselessly, completely silent before you. And as you step through onto this kind of road, the roadway, it's like being transported into another world. Each house, as you walk up the street, each house is the size of 3 houses in any other part of the city. And every detail radiates opulence. They are precisely manicured grounds that surround each mansion. And it's beautiful, but to some of you, it's a bit off-putting. It's like a demonstration of bending nature, but into exquisite conformity.
Well,
no potholes in this road.
You see more basically, like, think of like layers upon layers of just rags and clothes, which is trying to sort of brush off the dust and dirt as she's walking up.
You see
I'll
the
take
officer.
off my little stoker and put it on Mog. There you go, love.
You see the officer kind of looking at, like, why have you all been called to this? So she's part of the I can't find her name now. Officer Perga. She's been there as part of this kind of security team for this. Now, you see Josiah, you see the officer Pergo, she slightly kind of starts to step slower and she moves her way closer to you. And she says, well, basically, this is technically, it's a criminal enterprise, but not the kind we tend to mess with. Honestly, they do us a favor. They run Scarlet like a legitimate business, and they don't tolerate violence. So it's kind of better that one trust than a bunch of warring mobs. And the director, William Arbuthnot, although he's an old man now, or I guess he was, but he's been in charge for decades. Very powerful, very rich. And we don't know much more than that, if you understand my meaning.
Didn't work out well for him, though, then, did it?
He lived to a ripe old age, and he's filthy rich.
Not good for my business, though, is it, if there's no violence?
Depends on what you're into. Dr. Warren, was it?
Yeah, people call me doctor before, yeah.
It's usually with quotation marks.
Look, Polly, they stopped doing that, all right? Because I will let them in the clinic.
Listen, I'm just saying, there's
Bastards.
a population in the streets that still do it.
Now, as I said, any murder in this neighborhood, and she says she's addressing you all as you're walking up to the house. Any murder in this neighborhood is scandalous enough. What we don't want them is to think that we're panicking. Although, as we've called you, I suppose we are. Now, Arbuthnot's mansion, that sits 3 houses in from the front gate. It's this huge, elegant stone manor. It's 2 stories tall. It has Gothic arched windows, enormous oaken double doors. The grounds of the estate are large enough that the surrounding homes are barely visible from the front steps.
As we're sort of walking along, I'll sidle up to Josiah and sort of surreptitiously and speak quietly. Does this make your skin crawl like it does mine?
I've never been one for grandiose displays of wealth. I'd rather see
3 squares and a cot is all I need, but this is just
it's too much for one man. Just think what this money could do elsewhere.
the jacket I'm wearing, sort of, tuck my collar up and just sort of.
Still, it didn't save him in the end, did it? So
let's see what buggered him.
One last thing, officer, before you go back to watching that gate you've been doing so well earlier. Who phoned you and who was first on the scene?
It was the lieutenant. Well, Rudolph phoned us, and then we, or our lieutenant, called you. We haven't called the regular police. We've called you.
Why is that?
I think it's probably easier to show you rather than to try to explain it.
Fair enough.
So you approach the front doorway, and these are really hearty oak doors. They open, as they open up, into a high-ceilinged entry hall, decorated in muted greys. The furnishings are expensive, but spare. The single couch and table seem to be lost in the center of such a large room. The only art is an oil portrait hanging over a massive fireplace. The portrait is of a grim-faced older gentleman who can only be Arbuthnot himself. The room's sole occupant is a uniformed periphery lieutenant, and she approaches you confidently but then kind of hesitates, unsure if a handshake is appropriate. But she looks at all of you and settles on a kind of a sharp nod of acknowledgement, and then she introduces herself as Lieutenant Bazard.
As she goes to sort of hesitantly put her hand out, I extend mine.
Okay, she doesn't take it. She's looking at you all, looking at Mog, not sure, and just kind of puts it down. Just easier to nod.
Lieutenant Bastard, is it?
Bazard.
Ah, my mistake. Sorry about that. So apparently, you know where this fucking body is.
Yes, and be more respectful in this house, please. There are people here who will demand a certain amount of respect.
Oh yeah, we wouldn't want to upset the drug lords.
What do we know about the periphery? Are they the police, or are they something else? Are they just like rent-a-cops for this gated community?
That's how I've deemed them to be. Yes.
Okay. So they're not the actual police.
I think they are
private security.
A subset of police. They have rankings and everything else.
Yeah.
They can arrest you and they can take you to the police and do it that way. But I think these are highly paid police.
Elite campus security.
Exactly. Yeah. They have some authority, only because they protect the rich, the super rich.
Yeah.
So if you try to burgle them, they put you away, and you probably wouldn't get a judge either.
All thoughts of that nature shall be removed from my
But now,
I don't know why not.
Yeah, it's gone from a murder mystery to a heist.
eat the rich.
Yeah.
Okay. So she takes out her notebook, one of the flip over black ones. She's got a little pencil and she starts reciting all the notes that she's taken down so that you have the information ready. Okay. These are the basic facts of the investigation so far. Now, as she looks down at her notebook, she's ticking them off as she's telling them to you. The periphery was called at 7:19 p.m. by one of the guests. The guest's name is Mickle. At the time, Mickle only stated that the owner of the home, a William Arbuthnot, had been found unresponsive and not breathing in his personal library. Officer Perger and her partner, Officer Riggins, were the first officers dispatched to investigate. Upon entry to the library, they discovered Arbuthnot's body in a state that none of us can quite explain. The body has not been moved, and I would prefer to show it rather than describe it. After discovering the body, Officer Perger called in myself. I'm Lieutenant Bazard. I was the one who decided to phone the Candela Obscura. I spoke to a lightkeeper, Kingsman, and he has contacted you.
So Officer Perger said that we should see the body to better understand why you've called us rather than the police, so to speak.
I will show you that in a second. There's more to this. Now, the reason we have some people here, Arbuthnot was hosting a dinner party. He has 5 guests who are still present in the house and were present when the officers arrived. They were all in the downstairs dining room waiting for Arbuthnot to start dinner and apparently unaware that something was wrong. The guests have now been informed that Arbuthnot is deceased, but they are under orders to stay in the dining room until this investigation is complete. Now, so far, all of them are compliant. I have Officer Riggins to keep an eye on them. In addition to...
Sorry. You said that the periphery were called by somebody called Mickle. Is Mickle one of the guests?
Correct. In addition to the guests and Rudolph, there is one other person present. It is a footman named Vita. Vita and Rudolph are currently in the first floor kitchen, and they are awaiting further word.
So who are the other guests then?
The other guests are the names we have: Jeremiah Smike, Evika Fan, Bryn Gridley, Mickle Tackleton, and Lucretia Jaggers. And all of those are the board of Mr. Arbuthnot's organization. Now, we can hold them for through the night as witnesses. But unless you produce some compelling evidence, we will have to release them all in the morning. So if you don't solve this case by then, we may have lost our chance.
Well, or you just fucking pick one at random like you normally do, I suppose. It's up to you, I suppose.
With this situation in hand, the dinner party was to announce Mr. Arbuthnot's successor. So there is certainly motive here. Now, while Mr. Arbuthnot was alive, it meant it was a thriving organization, but one that was driven without bloodshed. If we don't find the killer and they assume the position of the leader of this organization at the head, then who knows what kind of trouble this entire city will be in. But that is a problem that you have to solve.
Correct. I'd say for the... You said there was orderlies and help as well, correct?
Sorry, say again?
There was a driver and other individuals as well?
We have
footman, 5 guests, and the butler.
Yes.
Yeah. Obviously, the footman and the butler need to remain here as well as the guests, I would say, until we decide they're able to leave.
Yep.
Do they live on the premises with Mr. Arbuthnot?
Yes, they do. They have servant quarters.
Well, I guess we better see this body then.
Mm.
I did all that. I forgot to put music on. I'll put it on now.
Too busy humming the Bill theme tune in your head.
Here we go. I'll turn that down a bit. I don't need that. There you go.
That's better.
Okay, so I'll show you where Mr. Arbuthnot is, if you would please follow me. And she leads you up these hugely ornate staircase up to the first floor.
As we walk through, Billy is going to be looking, and what he's looking for is anything missing, anything that should be around that isn't, like through dust marks. Like if there's a painting missing on the wall and it's got a dust mark around it, just any evidence of anything missing or out of place.
Yep. You don't see anything out of place on your approach to the library. But when you do get to the library down the hallway, you can see that the library did have this huge ornate oak door, and it is just hanging off its hinges.
Oof. Takes a bit of power to do that.
Was
You
it
can do that, Duncan.
kicked in or kicked out? Did someone kick the door into the body?
Oh,
or
it's been kicked in. So as you kind of from the hook, what you remember, and
I'm just clarifying. Obviously,
Yep.
character-wise, as it were.
Yep.
Um,
Lieutenant Buzzard will say to it. Lieutenant Buzzard explains the story we have is that Rudolph, the butler, kicked the door in.
That's quite some strength for a butler. Is he ex-forces?
I don't know. Maybe you can save that question for him.
So the door was locked then, I'm assuming. That's why you had to kick it in.
I'm assuming that's why. Actually, yes. Rudolph did mention that there is. The staff do not have access to the key to the library. They have a key to everything else, but the library was off limits. Arbuthnot has the only copy, which he always keeps in his coat pocket.
As we pass through the door, can I survey it to actually check out the damage? And having kicked in a couple of doors in my time, thinking if these are big, solid, rich people oak doors, it's quite some force.
Yep. You want to do a check?
Yeah. Do a survey check with my fancy dice. 2 5s.
What are you looking for?
I'm looking to see if this kicking this. You said it's a double set of doors, isn't it?
Yep.
Oak is big, big old doors. Is it a case of the door frame was crap and was able to be kicked in, or did someone of exceptional strength kick these doors in?
You're not gonna find that from looking at the door. But these looks like a pretty solid door. So you're right about that.
I'd like to take out my first bit of gear. I'm going to slip out my bleed detector from my sleeve, and it's like a traditional magician's wand, like nice and sleek or white tips. I'm just going to take that out and see if I can pick up any kind of spooky ookiness from the doors.
Do you need to roll for that?
I'm not entirely sure. Ross?
No, there's no roll. It's just what it does. It's what that bit of kit does.
No.
It just does the thing.
No, you get no feedback.
Cool.
On the doors.
I'll tuck that back up the sleeve.
As you're
whilst Duncan and Polly are looking at the doors, we lost Ross.
Yeah.
Do you want to pause for a second or continue?
Let's see if he comes back. I will hit the pause button. I'm just waiting for this. There we go. Right, we're back.
Right. I think Ross. Polly and Duncan were investigating the door. I'm just going to go in the room.
Okay.
And is Arbuthnot wearing a coat?
Well, let's describe the room to you, and then you can find out. The short answer is yes, but let's find out. So, Arbuthnot's hexagonal library would be the envy of any collector. The 20-foot high walls are lined with shelves containing thousands of expertly preserved texts. Delicate iron ladders on wheels are on every single wall, allowing access to the entire collection. The room itself is positioned in the interior of the house, so there's no windows, and as far as you can tell, there are no other doors in or out. Inside the room is an antique oak desk that sits in the center of the room, and it's positioned so that the occupant is facing the door. Behind it, there is a cushion chair to sit in there. On the floor, between the desk and the broken door, is the body of Arbuthnot. Now, his body indicates, as you get closer, Josiah, that he died in agony. His limbs are twisted, and his face is contorted in pain. He's lying face down on his chest, and the back of his finely tailored suit is ripped down the length of his spine. Now, while there is no visible wound, his skin matches perfectly the color of his clothing, and also the color of the floor beneath him, and it is basically as white as snow. So that's the setting you're in. Picture that in your heads.
Billy will go with Josiah into the room, as he's all about the bodies. So,
yeah.
Likewise as well.
Well, I was going to test the theory, Billy. I was going to see if he had the key in his pocket.
Always clear the pockets out of any patient before you operate on them.
I'm not sure I'm quite ready to touch the body yet until Polly comes over and gives it a wavery old wand. Make sure there's no residuals hanging around.
I'll clop over in my little heels. My ears are burning. Do you need me, lads?
Yeah, could you check the area? It looks all a little bit sus, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and make a big old flourish of like making this wand appear from seemingly nowhere. And yeah, I'll do a little bleed detect.
Okay, let me just try and find.
And follow-up question from me:
Yeah.
Is it cold? Is it frost?
It's not cold in the room.
But is the white frost, or is it just a complete rain of colour?
Are you going to touch it?
No, not until after it's been waved at with a wand and you've told us whether there's any residual bleed around.
We've been burned before.
Not known to be heroics. That was a professor's area of expertise. God rest his soul.
I got my hand in goo previously. I'm fine.
So you're waving the wand over Arbuthnot's body, yeah?
Yeah.
You are.
And I think the area kind of like around it as well immediately that's in the absence of colour.
Yep. No, you detect nothing.
Oh no, I would have quite happily put money on there being something there, but there's nothing.
Well, colour me shocked then, Polly, because I am. Well, in that case, I'll dive straight in.
Whoa. Josiah,
Gloves.
hold on. We've got to do a proper examination of the body. Don't just go diving in. You'll ruin and contaminate the scene. I've heard what the coppers say when I've been sleeping around.
Oh, get you, Mr. Fancy Pants.
Billy
Sorry, Dr. Fancy Pants.
Not all hands. Got brains too.
All I want, Doc, is to get in the pockets. I'm just curious to see whether the keys were really there, or whether the keys were the person who did this vile deed.
Yeah, you be careful.
Please,
Gloves?
you're the director. Consider me your labourer.
Oh, I'm not used to having help. And like, Billy is wearing really worn clothing. He does not look like a doctor. He looks like he lives on the street. And he opens his jacket and pulls out like a cloth roll. Opens it out, and he basically brings out his doctor's equipment. is medical equipment, and some of it is like proper medical equipment, like proper knives, proper tweezers. The rest of it appears to be filled with blacksmith tools or like builder's tools. Like there is just a proper mallet in one instead of like an actual like thing to check your knee.
You've got a mallet, a screwdriver, some pliers.
Yeah,
Well, fun enough.
I think I've heard of you before, Billy. Dr. Jack, they call you, don't they? Jack of all trades.
Better a jack of all trades than a master of none.
Yeah, but kind of, doctors, they want to be a master of one, though, don't you?
I'm a master of keeping people pretty much alive. And he takes out these leather gloves that have got lots of bloodstains on them. All of his equipment is stained in blood. And he will pick out some tweezers, some long-handled tweezers that are from the blacksmiths and not the doctor's tools. And he will find the pocket and go in and have a little shifty around. So he doesn't have to touch anything.
The
Looking over his
body is
shoulder,
laying
it'd be
face down.
Sorry?
The body is laying face down.
Yeah, I think you might have to turn him over, Billy Dunn.
Go on, Ninjas. What? Labour and all that.
Nice to see the butcher at work.
I
That
shall.
nickname never stuck, all right?
You're in some streets.
I shall attempt to follow instructions and do it carefully rather than just thumping the old geezer on his back. I shall put my hands gently under his front and roll him over.
Just to the side, not all the way. I don't want to interfere with the back. We'll look at that in a minute. And if I can get to the pocket when he's on his side, I will shifty in both pockets.
Okay. What pockets? His trousers or his jacket? His shirt?
Everything.
His coat pocket. that's
Mainly
what
his
I'm
coat
interested
pocket is where we want to search.
in,
but-
because that's where Lieutenant Bazard said he kept the key.
Okay. The coat pocket is empty.
We'll check the one on the other side by rolling the body 180 degrees.
Yeah, back the other way, but check the back.
Okay. The inside coat pocket on the other side is also empty.
Check the outside pocket, Doc.
Yep, I will check every pocket with these tweezers. They're actually quite long, they're quite awkward to be going in pockets, but it gives it distance.
So, I will say, as you roll him back onto his chest, you lift the tails of the coat so you can see his bum. He's wearing his trousers, and in a pocket of his trousers is a key.
There you go, Josiah.
Thank you very much. I
Now
will
the key,
take the key and check to see if it opens the door.
it does. You take the key over to the door, it locks, it fits the lock perfectly fine.
I then want to look at the back injury, so I want him laid back on his front, and I will then inspect this back injury to try and discern what has caused it. And if there's any traces of anything, like I've got some swabs and cloth that I can take traces on the wound once I've looked at it. So I'll do a focus check for me to do.
Yeah, go for it.
It's gilded. I'm going to use 2 drive for this. I feel like it's important to know about this. I got a 4.
Such a
So
great
mixed
actor.
success.
Now,
don't worry
here's
about
something that I will shout out for Beadle Grimm, is that I couldn't find a description of the wound. Even though the jacket is ripped, I couldn't find a description of the wound. I know how he's died, but I'm not going to tell you that yet. So I can't find. So there is no wound, but so that the back of the coat is split open.
Yep.
And as you go in to look, so is the shirt, and then you got his skin, and all 3 layers are completely stark white.
But the skin isn't broken.
Skin, I'm going to say, is not broken.
Had any of the cloth changed texture at all? Like it
you
become
wanna touch it?
brittle? Well, I touched it when I turned him over, didn't I? So
Okay.
did it still feel like soft, expensive cloth, but now dyed
Yes.
white instead of being whatever it kind of was before?
Yep, it still feels like it should. It is as if this is a pure white, like a white coat, like he's wearing white shirt, white shoes, white socks, white trousers. He's gone for a white party, but his hair is white, his skin is stark white, not peachy, fleshy, pinky colour, but stark white. His eyes are white, his tongue is white. everything about him, and then the floor he's been laying on is white.
And none of that
Oh,
comes
why?
off if I rub him with a bit of cloth from my doctor's kit.
No, if you wipe the skin or spit on it first, bit of a hanky, and wipe it, it does not come off. This is his skin has turned pure white. His hair is white. All the follicles are white. What I will say is, Josiah, as you turn the body over again, I'll say you notice something is in his vest pocket.
I'll point that out to Billy. Billy, look, there's something in his vest there, just in the pocket.
All right.
When I get out,
Tweezers out.
just
It's like a foot long tweezer. Fucking hell. I need to get smaller tweezers. Bob will get me some next week. It's fine. And yeah, he'll use them to get it out.
Okay, you pull out what appear to be some red tinted spectacles. I will say the key that you took out is brass coloured, is not white.
what about the specs you said were red tinted, correct?
Red tinted spectacles.
The lenses or the frames?
The lenses are red and the frames are, let's just say they're metal, steel colour.
Okay.
Muggle will sort of walk over to Billy and Josiah and be like, boys, maybe it's time for me to have a bit of a hands-on approach with the body and see what I can find. And she'll
Just
just
to
sort
point
of
out,
kneel
there is
down.
still the rest of the room as well.
Yeah.
I was going to say, while they're playing with the body, I am going to start searching around the room, and I'm looking for evidence of people being here, be it footprints, be it things that have been knocked over, scuffed carpets, anything that looks out of place. You would imagine if there's been a kerfuffle, whether smashed glass or if there is anything hidden underneath any of the chairs or so, whatever, if there's any other sort of furniture underneath, if things have been attempted to clean up and they've left something behind.
Sure. Okay, so for Duncan, let's say that while they're checking out the body, you're checking out the room to see signs of a struggle and everything else. So I'll let you do that. Mog.
Yeah, and Mog will kneel down next to the body and like roll up her multiple sleeves. And
all I can
rub
think
her
of is
hands
you
together.
look like the pigeon lady from Home Alone too.
Yeah, basically, kind of like that. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Rub her hands together and then just put both her hands on one of the dead body's hands, and I'm going to use my medium specialty, which is last moments, where whilst touching the corpse, I can burn an intuition to hear, smell, and feel the creature's last few moments. And I'm also going to take a bleed mark to see a still image of the last thing they saw before they died.
Okay.
Nice.
So yeah, and she'll start being like, "Spirit world, come to me."
You see, that's fine. You see flashes, and everything for you is in black and white. But you start to, as that connection starts to be made, the flashes, boom, 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 speed up, and it turns into like a black and white movie. And you get the flicker effect, and you get the dust and the crackles and everything as it starts to play in your mind. And you see his last moments. You see him step around from the desk into the center of the room, and he opens up his coat to reach in for something. And as he does so, he kind of lurches back. And as he looks around, all he sees is his shadow. And his face contorts, his body is racked with pain, and then the next thing you see is boom, he's on the floor. And the film that's playing, it's like when the film runs out of the machine, it just goes That's what plays back in your head, and that's the last connection.
And then she sort of stands up again and sort of brushes her hands off, almost as if to take the juju off of her fingers. He was almost. It was almost like he was trying to grab something from inside his coat. I'm guessing glasses that you've got there, Billy. And something to do with his shadow. I got images of his shadow. It was quite bizarre. It was all no colour images, which I normally would get, which is very strange as well. That's very bizarre.
So, Duncan, you're doing a inspection of the library itself to look to see if there's a struggle. You can't find any signs of struggle, but you have been kind of concentrating on the room itself, the size of the room, looking for scuffs on the floor, whatever might be, smashed glass, that kind of thing. You find nothing. So Polly, while they've been checking the body and Duncan's been searching the room, what have you been up to?
Polly is going to start going across the books, specifically looking for any book that seems out of place, or any part of the library that seems like a knot of wood or something that might given Polly's profession, she's aware of like false doors and traps and things, and so she's kind of looking for any signs of what might be a secret tunnel or a hidden escape.
Okay. So let's do a survey check.
Okay. Oh, it's a success.
Oh, well done.
Nice.
Okay. Let's start with the bookcases. So these are like 20 foot tall, all the way around the room. From your perusal, you see that the book collection consists largely of historical fiction. It all seems to take place in Old Fair. There is, however, you find one row that is specifically dedicated to medical textbooks. And there are 3 books missing. But that's not odd. There are other empty... sorry, I will say that is odd, because there don't appear to be any other spaces on the shelves. So that's the only gap you see on the bookcase. You do find as you've been going around the books and looking at kind of the spine names and stuff like that, one book stands out, and it's because the title of the book is written in ancient Faerun. Does anyone speak ancient Faerun?
I used to know someone who did.
You used to know someone in a book.
He wasn't called on this investigation.
I'll ask you a question, Dave. I can have an item of gear called a relevant textbook.
Oh, nice.
Would I have a book that would translate languages, or particularly around the medical side of things, potentially?
I will say yes, because it will help you, because no one else can speak. No one can speak the language. You're at a slight dead end. So yes, I will say that is one of your items.
Cool. Yeah, I've got my ancient favourite medical textbook that I always carry with me. You never know when you're going to need it.
I'll pull the book off the shelf.
So the book doesn't come off.
Oh.
As you pull the book, it tilts on an axis. It tilts on its like diagonal axis, and you hear a click. And in another part of the room, a hidden door pops open, which is part of the bookcase.
So pedestrian. Could at least try and hide it a bit better. Lads, I found something.
I mean, that's pretty well hidden, Polly, to be fair.
So just so that Billy doesn't waste that piece of gear, what was the title of the book?
Yeah.
The title on the book reads "Open Secrets."
Yeah, can I not take out my textbook, Dave? Can I still have 2 hours of gear to pick
No.
from?
No.
I bet I need ancient favourite at some point in this thing. Or I'm going to clobber someone with this, what is probably quite a large textbook.
It's already blood-stained, probably.
Oh yeah, the spine absolutely has got blood on it.
Ta-da!
Okay, so you don't see anything beyond it. All it's done is kind of clicked and released on a small spring. The door hasn't opened up.
Whereabouts in the room is it?
You can, let's say it's behind the desk.
Okay.
So directly behind the chair, behind the desk.
Totter over and go and have a look at that then.
Okay. So as you open the door, you kind of get your fingers in and you pull this thing open. It comes open really easy. It's like there's no all these books on this bookcase, but this thing has no weight at all. You just kind of easily slide it open, and it's a bit like not exactly a panic room, but a bit like an open area behind this doorway, and it ends with another door, but this door is like a lead safe door.
Ooh.
And there is a big kind of not one of those like bank safes. We got the big wheel that you spin around, but this is still like hubcap size, still quite nice and big, but it's a dial, so it's ornately crafted dial, and you can see that it basically goes from the numbers 1 to 100.
I'm gonna
So you've
pop
got
my
this big
head down.
dial, you've got like a big like lock handle kind of thing, and this massive dial.
I don't mean to be presumptuous, but Josiah, this looks like your kind of door.
I really don't know what you're talking about, Polly.
No, I didn't think you would, love.
I'll side up with Duncan. I've got a couple of ideas. So there's 3 books missing, and I'd be interested to know what they are. But Polly here wants me to look at this door. So if I happen to be some sort of rich person with my own library in the middle of the house, I might want to keep some sort of card referencing system, so I know if one of the servants wandered off with a book, which one was missing. And I'm just wondering whether Mr. Arbuthnot had something similar, some sort of indexing system that, by process of elimination, tell us which books were missing.
Might be worth a butcher's then. I'm going to have a look.
In the meantime, I shall go into the safe room and I shall use my first bit of gear. The helpfully entitled burglary equipment.
It strikes again.
Perfect.
Always useful.
So I shall pull out, and Billy may recognise these, or may not, I don't know, because he deals with the dead more than living. A pair of stethoscopes. And I shall hook myself up the safe door, and I shall attempt to crack it.
Okay, go on then.
First of all, though, I'm going to do what any good safe cracker does, and I'm going to stand in front of the bloody thing for about 10 minutes and study. Study it
That's right.
intimately. Study it
So-
intimately.
Polly,
Or
are
you could just
staying
try
with
and
Josiah?
undo it. Just see if it's open already. Spend all this time trying to crack it and it's already open.
Look,
To be fair, you haven't tried.
you. I know I haven't tried it, because any good safe cracker knows you've got to stand there and look at it properly first. You have to get to know your adversary.
Any good safe cracker.
I think Polly's gonna hang out with just to keep an eye in case anything happens while
Okay, so
Josiah's
Pol-
doing his safe time.
Polly and Josiah are kind of in this little, like an ensuite cupboard. It's not a lot of space, but then there's this giant safe door, and you're going to try to suss it out. Duncan, you talking about looking for some record cards. Where do you want to go?
Is there a desk in here?
Yep.
That'd be my first port of call. Then looking over and looking
Okay.
for the name of the
The
cards
desk-
that they said.
The desk has a few things. So you go over to the desk, and this is again nice big brown wooden solid desk, the kind of opulent thing you'd expect to see in this kind of house. There are 3 books stacked on top of the large desk. All 3 appear to be medical texts. Various things about brain deterioration and the elderly. There is also an unfinished brandy sitting on the desk.
Doc, looks like there's someone here for you to have a look at. Sort of see if I can get down and sniff the brandy. Just not too close, but just want to see if it's anything smells untoward in it.
Okay, it smells like brandy.
Yeah. So presuming these are the 3 books that were missing.
Maybe.
I'm assuming if he's got a brandy there, there's probably like a drinks tray or like a area for like with different bottles and whatnot.
Yep, so Mog, you start looking around. You do actually notice something in the corner. So where the front door had been kicked in, the door to the library had been kicked in, you see partly obscured is what appears to be an elegant side table positioned near the door, and a strange artifact is sitting on top of it.
Okay. I'll walk over to the table and have a look at the artifact.
Okay. This appears
What is
to
it?
be.
What shape is it?
Yep. This appears to be like an iron chest. It has this kind of what you may determine to be like an ancient Pharaoh design. Next to it is a key.
Okay. And I believe that Polly's currently busy with Josiah, right?
Polly and Josiah are in the safe room. Billy is still with the body, I presume. Duncan
He's
is
starting to
looking
head
at the
over to
desk.
where Duncan is because Duncan called him
Okay.
over.
Yeah, no, I was just
Desk.
thinking about getting out my bleed detector to check it over as well. So Mog will reach into the sleeve of her robes and pull out a sort of orb that's made of glass. It's like a singular piece, but inside it is like a swirling liquid with like flaky bits inside. So it's gonna basically, if it's got any bleed, it will just start. The liquid inside will just start swirling around.
Cool.
So,
Let me find it. No, it gives off no bleed.
Interesting. In that case, I will. So, is there any writing or anything on the actual box itself?
No, it's just all
just-
the
Well,
swells and carvings and something like that. There's no language, nothing that looks like glyphs. It's just an ornate design.
You can make me a box, aren't you? What's in the box? Yeah, I'll pick up the key and I'll put it in the keyhole.
Okay.
See if it fits.
Right. As soon as you put the key in,
Bang.
you instantly, your entire body goes backwards. It bends in the wrong way as a whole jolt of electricity is passing through your body. Now, Duncan and Billy, you see this as Mog cries out, and she is still holding the key. So, you see her, and the hair starts to smoke.
Can I tackle her off the key?
You can do a check.
Is that a move check?
Strike.
Strike. Okay. And that's 2 of me special dice.
Ooh.
4 and a 6.
6 is
Oh, you got a 6. Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay. Da, 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 da. Right. That's not so bad. Not so bad. So you throw your what you're gonna do? Throw yourself bodily at Mog, yeah?
Yeah. Rugby tackle. Point of interest. How old is Mog, and what sort of?
So she's a lot
Like
younger.
that question.
She's a lot younger than she looks, if that makes sense. She makes herself out to look like an old hag, but is actually reasonably young.
All right.
That's the way
I'm
that I had her in
just
my head.
worried about rugby tackling this guy with bones.
It's more part of like she dresses like that to like increase the believability of her powers and stuff.
Yeah.
She's a fake. She'll tell you she's a fake.
Girl bossing.
Shoulder
Not a charlatan,
straight
but you know. Another question, Dave. Not that I really should be asking this, but do I take a body mark for that?
You will be, yeah.
Okay.
So, Duncan, you throw yourself bodily at Mog, successfully dragging her hand from the key, knocking her to the ground. So yes, Mog, you take 1 body. Duncan, you're fine. And as you kind of pick yourselves off the floor, you see the chest. The chest is buzzing with electricity. Zzz, zzz. You see sparks flying across it and everything. The key is still in the keyhole.
Mog will stand up and go, "Oh, that hurt more than that one time I tried Pilates."
Seeing this go on, is the electricity occult or is it powered? Do we think it's wired in somewhere?
Can you do that with a check?
Yeah, I'll inspect it without touching it. You know, I've still got my leather gloves on, my bloody leather gloves. Oh, go on, Duncan.
I'd say more importantly, are your tweezers rubber handles?
Bloody leather gloves.
Well, yeah, I did think I should have had rubber gloves, but I'm not quite that. I don't bring those with me. No, the tweezers are blacksmith handle, like blacksmith tweezers. They're not going to be rubber handled. I was thinking of that, but I'd be cheating myself if I said they were. But I'll inspect. I'll have a look around it, see if there's any wires coming out of it, if it's connected anywhere. So I'll do a focus roll.
Go for it.
Well, I'll take my gilded dice, so I'll get a drive back. That was a 4, so a mixed success.
I'm going to say
I think at one point I
is...
accidentally lean on the chest while I'm looking.
Okay, you said it, not me. So, as you get close, you kind of like determine this is definitely not magical, and then go zzz, as you get a shock from it. You think it's probably there's no wires externally, but the noises it's making, you determine it's probably battery powered. This thing is self-contained, but it probably contains a very big battery to allow that kind of shock for this amount of time as well. So yeah, and you take a point, 1 point of body.
Cool. Yeah, I think bottom up. That's absolutely understandable. That's what makes it sense.
For getting too close.
He's just looking around. I say, fucking hell.
Steady hands there, Doc.
It's just like that.
Okay.
Yes, that whole like, yeah, no, I've got a steady hand. But this
Yeah,
is my
fine.
brain hand.
Yeah, this is the one I did surgery on. Oh no, it is this one, isn't it? Oh shit. Cool.
Okay.
We're probably going to be a while if we're waiting for this to slow down.
Fizzle out.
Mm-hmm.
If sufficient time has passed, I'm
Yep.
going to use my scout ability, which means if I have time to observe a location, I can spend 1 intuition to ask a question.
Okay.
So I'm going to spend that 1 intuition point. And having studied the lock, which you described as a large rotating dial from 0 to 100,
Correct.
I'm going to make a bit of a guess that the first number that it goes to, the person turning that dial with both hands is always going to avoid that number. So they turn it. So I'm going to look specifically for where there are handprints, fingerprints, or worn edges around that dial to show where somebody places their hands more frequently.
Okay.
To try and work out, or give me a clue as to what potentially the first number would be in the sequence.
Okay.
And do you want me to make a sleight of hand check to then try and crack the safe?
Yeah, it's gonna be a roll.
Alright. This is a gilded deck for me, and I'm going to use a drive as well on it.
Mm-hmm.
I got 1-6.
Nice.
Well done. But sadly, you find no indentation, no smoothness, no scuffs or fingerprints to indicate where hand positions might be, or what the first number could even be.
Do I come to the conclusion that I am not going to be able to crack this safe?
Correct.
Okay. Polly,
Mm.
as much as it pains me to disappoint you, my dear, I'm not going to be able to crack this. This is an exquisite piece of machinery. I'd love to have something like this around the house, but, well, this probably costs more than all of us combined.
Well, you never know. Maybe if we do a good job on it, you can ask for it as payment.
That would indeed be nice. Be nice if the house came with it as well, but anyway, that's a different matter. I think we might have to be a bit clever in other avenues to try and figure out what the combination might be. Maybe somebody else knows. Maybe the servants know or something, don't they? Oh, there might be clues lying around. Who knows?
Yeah, a bit more poking. Go and see what the others are up to, eh?
Yeah.
All right. So, what on earth has been going on here?
Just as you like, yeah, was you hear?
Who set fire to Mog?
Watch me rugby tackle Mog.
Yeah, Mog's still got wisps of smoke coming out of the top of her hair.
I think Duncan tried to kill Mog.
If Josiah and Polly come out, I'll say, Josiah, found those 3 books
What are they? Where were they?
on the desk about
I
old
wonder.
folks and brain disease. Here's Gambrel. I don't suppose you can take a look at this thing here, could you?
Yeah, what is it?
It's a buzzing box.
Oh, fun! I got one of those at home. And I'll.
I did find it the other day, but
Cheeky. I'll come and have a little look at it. Can I? I'm not going to touch it. I'm assuming that we've been caught up on the situation and that Mog's already
You
done a
saw,
bit of
yeah, what was
stuff.
going on. You saw
Untouchables.
Billy went over there, and Billy was like, "Oh!"
Yeah, I think. Yeah, can I have a little look to see if I can spot anything that's maybe, given that we've got this hidden compartment wall and stuff, anything similar to that with the box? Any kind of off switch or kind of trip wire with it?
You can do the roll, and then we'll find out.
Is that going to be an inspect?
You inspect. We could do. Is it survey?
Survey search.
Yeah, I think it's an inspect, isn't it?
Good.
So I can give you a point of drive as well if you want.
Oh
So
yeah, I will take that.
inspect his focus roll.
Yeah, and I'm going to burn a drive of mine as well.
I'll also give you a drive.
That's
Unless
all
you
right, my
want
love. I've got a 6.
Oh, fine. I'll keep my drive.
Okay. Good roll. Unfortunately, there is nothing else to this chest. It is just a one box chest. You can't get inside because it's still buzzing with electricity, and that's it. So
Cool.
you won't be able to open it until it powers down.
just got to let it kind of do its thing. Maybe we come back to it when it's had enough of having a bit of a fizz-whiz.
Yep. Lieutenant Buzzard is standing in the doorway.
So
you've still got the time is ticking. So
I guess I understand why you called us. It does all seem a bit mysterious. Dead body behind a locked door, him having the key and whatnot. How did you know us?
Say that again?
Well, how did you know how to reach out to the Lightkeepers? I don't think it was. Well, I didn't think what we do is that well known to the man in the street, so to speak.
Not exactly. But I was asked to call the Candela Obscura, and she goes into her pocket. She pulls out a hand, and inside you see a token, like a coin. Now you recognise this as being a token of fairness, and this thing is basically on being given a token of fairness, you are obliged to follow those instructions. So she was asked to call your circle in particular.
So I don't know, but I guess our characters would. How would somebody get a token of fairness? Is that like something that is gifted to someone for services rendered or something like that? Is it?
Yes. I'm
So
going to say
they're not a common token.
Exactly. It's not a common thing, but it is one of those items which is passed around certain circles. So Candela Obscura has gifted it to someone, potentially, and that may have been gifted and gifted and gifted. This is a token of fairness, and basically whoever has given it to Lieutenant Buzzard asked them not to call the police, but to call Candela Obscura, and as she explains, to also keep that person private.
Now, why do we want to keep it private? Because, you know, if somebody's been gifted this token of fairness, then they understand what we do, and clearly that person, to me, it seems logical they wouldn't be a suspect. So why would they want to keep themselves anonymous, so to speak? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Why don't you tell us who it was? You know, it would at least remove one person from the list of suspects.
That is not my purview. The only person who can tell you who gave me this coin is the person who gave me this coin, if they choose to reveal themselves.
But I'm right in saying it's one of the people in this house, not one of your fellow officers. Would that be
correct?
Would that be a fair guess? Right.
That is a fair guess.
I think while Josiah's doing that, Billy will go over to the desk and start looking through the textbooks, all the books that were there that were talking about like the old person brain stuff. And he's also going to put on the red spectacles that he has had that he hasn't put on yet, just to see what the world looks like through them.
So you also see, before you put them on, you also see that there are different kind of runes on the kind of arms of the glasses.
Do they match anything in my ancient favourite medical textbook that I have with me now? That is very heavy.
You just decided that it's heavy.
Yes, I would have smacked someone with it.
It can be used as a weapon later on, yeah.
It's covered in barbed wire.
Over encumbered yourself just due to
knives sticking out of the spine.
Does anybody else have an item which may help them?
So it's not ancient favourite though, we know that because it is.
Correct. These are, you do know them to be magical sigils.
Yeah,
But what you're looking for is something that tells you what these spectacles are.
I have occult text.
Okay, yeah, that'll do. So that is now one of
let's-
your items.
Yep.
So you flick through your book and you find a sketched kind of illustration of some spectacles with these kind of tiny red tinted lenses, and they are named Spirit Lens. Now the Spirit Lens, when the proper combination of sigils is pressed, and you get the full instructions as well of what they're supposed to do, the wearer is able to see and speak with any spirit within their field of vision. So they have to be looking at the ghost to be able to actually talk with it and see it. If the spirit allows it, the wearer can also catch glimpses through the spirit's eyes. Now you also know in the textbook it says that the lens, activating the lens, using the lens, causes 1 bleed mark to the wearer, and looking through the eyes of a spirit causes 1 additional bleed. So you're going to get 2 bleed if you look through the eyes of a ghost, 1 if you're just using the spectacles to see a ghost.
Sounds like he's more up your street then, Mog, by the sounds of it. I don't hand the spectacles to Mog. Or hold them out for Mog to take.
I mean, I already have the ability to speak to the other side and commune with them, but, you know, a little bit more won't help.
Yep.
Gomez. And, it's like trying to play it off that I can already do this, but I'll definitely. But you mean
Billy
I
is
can
not
actually do
interested in
it?
getting nearer to the spirits.
Yeah.
Cool. In that case, Dave, what I'll do is Billy will look through the textbooks, but he's looking for anything that is earmarked or that appears to have been highlighted or would stand out in these textbooks. Because despite what people think, he actually has been officially educated as a doctor.
That's
if
fine.
these glasses can make you see spirits, why don't we look to see if the old fella's still hanging around?
It's a good shout.
They've got Mog.
Well, surely if the old blinkers will let you see him and say hello.
I already have 1 bleed.
Mog, if you don't want to do it, I'll put him on.
Well,
What
now you're
happens
making
when
me
I
feel
get to 3
guilty.
again? I've forgotten.
It's only if you get 4 bleed that it's a problem.
Yeah, they
is it?
stack.
But you can get 3 scars, you're fine, don't worry about it.
So yeah, I'll put on these glasses and
All I'm thinking is googly eyes.
the required rooms on the side. They don't really
Okay,
go
so
way
you
up
put
there.
on the
I'll be
red-
muttering as I put them on.
You put on the red spectacles. Where are you looking? Describe what you see in the room from your position.
I believe that I was still near the
So
crazy
little
box.
bit of metagaming. I'll remind you that you had some flashbacks, didn't you?
Yes.
And Arbuthnot was stood in the centre of the room, and he
And he
was
looked behind
reaching for the spectacles. So why
Yeah.
don't you retrace his final actions?
Well, Dave said that he was standing in the room and looked behind him and went to reach for his spectacles, right? So where I was standing currently was by that crazy box that zapped me. My thought process was to look into the room from one corner, so you're almost seeing a larger area of the room to be able to cover a wider space. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're staying in the
Come
corner
on.
of the room, and then you're going to put these on.
Yes.
Yeah. So again, imagine this is a film, and you're watching the telly, and then from the first person point of view, you see Mole go over into the corner. She turns around, back to the wall, and lifts up these red tinted spectacles. As the vision goes red, you put them on, and immediately what you see, standing directly in front of you, is a hideously deformed skull, which is screaming at you. The jaw is hanging out, the eyes are putrid and petrified, flesh is being torn off the skull, and we'll find out what happens in the next session.
Hey.
Oh God!
Right, so we will be back in next. We're going to do some quick feedback, but I will leave it here because this is just a reminder for everyone who's watching this on YouTube. This is just a play test. So some of this story may change from the original, but this is just play test. This is just fun. This is just laugh and giggles. But we will see you again next time. Ta-ra. Bye.